Welcome to Oath&Ink Academy. Today we are covering one of the most frequently misunderstood topics in the notary profession, the apostille. Clients ask about it, attorneys request it, and many notaries feel uncertain about exactly what role they play in the process. By the end of this presentation, you will know what an apostille is, why it exists, where the notary fits into the chain, the complete step-by-step process, your supporting scripts, and a fully tagged sample document so you can see exactly what this looks like in practice. Let's get into it. Let's break this down from the beginning. Because apostille is one of those words that sounds complicated, but becomes very simple once you understand what it actually is. An apostille, and the pronunciation is apostille, is a certificate issued by a government authority that says this notary's signature and seal on this document are genuine. That's it. It's a chain of trust. A client needs a document accepted in another country. That country doesn't know the Tennessee notary who signed it. The apostille bridges that gap. The three key facts on this slide are worth memorizing. First, the apostille comes from the Hague Convention, an international treaty with over 120 member countries. Second, it certifies the notary's signature and seal, not the document content. And third, and this is where it can get confusing, the apostille does not validate what the document says. It validates that the notary who signed it was real, commissioned, and acting in their official capacity. A notarized document with false content is still a false document. Even with an apostille, your role in this process is upstream. You prepare the document correctly so it can receive the apostille. Let's look at where that fits. Now let's look at who actually walks through your door asking for help with an apostille, because the variety of clients who need this service might surprise you. Students studying abroad are one of the most common. A university in Spain or Germany may require an apostille on a student's diploma before they will accept it as a recognized credential. International marriage is another major category. Someone marrying a foreign national needs their birth certificate or divorce decree apostilled before the foreign civil registry will process the paperwork. International business. This one is growing fast. Companies operating across borders need apostilled corporate documents, powers of attorney, and articles of incorporation. This becomes important because many of these clients come to a notary first. They don't always know exactly what they need. They know their foreign contact told them the document needs to be authenticated. Your job is to understand the apostille process well enough to explain your role in it, help them get the document notarized correctly, and direct them to the Secretary of State for the apostille itself. Understanding your client's situations is what allows you to serve them competently and professionally. Here's something that trips up a lot of people at the beginning of an apostille request. They assume all countries accept apostilles. They do not. The apostille process only applies to documents going to countries that have signed the Hague Convention. Over 124 countries are members, which covers most of Europe, the Americas, many parts of Asia, and several African and Middle Eastern nations. But there are notable gaps. Some countries in the Middle East, parts of Africa, and a handful of others are not Hague members. For those destinations, the process is significantly more complex, involving state-level authentication, federal authentication through the U.S. Department of State, and consular legalization through the destination country's embassy or consulate. This is a 5-step process compared to the apostille's much simpler path. What does this actually mean for a new notary? It means step 1 in any apostille conversation is asking, what country is this document going to? If the answer is a Hague member country, apostille process applies. If it's not, you need to redirect the client to a document legalization specialist. The resource at the bottom of this slide is the HCCH website, the official Hague conference resource. Bookmark it, verify it, do not assume. Now let's look at where the notary actually sits in the apostille chain, and why step 1 is where the entire process either succeeds or fails. The chain has 4 links. You are the first. You notarize the document. You verify the signer's identity. Witness the signature. Complete your notarial certificate with all required information, and apply your seal. Without a correct notarization, there is no apostille. The second link is the county clerk, and this is a step that varies by state. Tennessee does not require a county clerk certification for most documents before the apostille, but some states do. Know your state-specific process. The third link is the Secretary of State. This is the office that actually issues the apostille. The Secretary of State staff verifies that your signature and seal match their records of commissioned notaries. If your seal is illegible, your commission number is missing, or your certificate is incomplete, the apostille application will be rejected and the client comes back to you. The fourth link is the destination country, which simply receives and accepts the apostille document. Here is the critical insight. You cannot fix a bad notarization downstream. The county clerk cannot. The Secretary of State cannot. If your notarization is defective, the document has to start over. Get step 1 exactly right. Here is the complete 8-step apostille process. I've color-coded each step so you can see immediately which steps belong to you as the notary, which are handled by the Secretary of State, and which the client manages. Let's walk through it. Step 1 belongs to the client. They present a document and explain where it's going. Your first job is confirming the destination country is a Hague member. If it's not, you redirect them before any work is done. Step 2 is yours. Determine the correct notarial act. Does the document require an acknowledgement or a jurat? This is the most important technical decision in your role. Step 3 is identity verification. Government-issued photo ID. Name must match. For corporate documents, you also verify the signer's title and authority to execute on behalf of the company. Step 4 is the notarization itself, and this one will break down in detail on the next slide with a tag document. Steps 5 to 8 belong to the client and the Secretary of State. The client submits to the SOS. The SOS verifies your signature against the records. They attach the apostille, and the document is returned to the client. One thing many beginners overlook, steps 5 to 8 happen without you. Once the document leaves your hands correctly notarized, your role is complete. The apostille is issued by the state, not by the notary. Know your lane. Here's where it can get confusing and where notaries sometimes make promises they cannot keep. Not every document that gets apostille was notarized first. There are two fundamentally different types. Documents that come to you first, things like powers of attorney, affidavits, corporate resolutions, and notarized copies. These are the documents where you have a role. You notarize them, and then they go to the Secretary of State for the apostille. Government-issued documents are completely different. A client's birth certificate, marriage certificate, or death certificate was issued by a government office. It was signed by a county clerk or registrar, not by a notary. The apostille for these documents comes from the Secretary of State of the state where the document was issued, not from you. And the FBI background check is a federal document. Its apostille comes from the U.S. Department of State in Washington, D.C., not from any state SOS. Why is this step often misunderstood? Because clients come in asking for an apostille on my birth certificate as if you can provide it. You cannot. For vital records, your role is to explain the process and direct them to the correct government office. The client note at the bottom of this slide is worth memorizing. When someone brings you a government-issued document and asks you to apostille it, you explain that process clearly, professionally, and redirect them appropriately. Now let's look at the specific notarization requirements when you're preparing a document for apostille. The overall requirements are the same as for any quality notarization, but the stakes for completeness are higher because the Secretary of State is going to verify every element against the records of your commission. Let's break down each requirement. First, complete certificate language. Use your state's approved wording. In Tennessee, the Secretary of State has specific certificate formats. Your certificate must use language they can recognize. Second, full commission information. Your name as commissioned, your commission number, the county of your commission, and your expiration date must all be present. Missing any one of these is a common reason for apostille rejection. Third, your seal. This one cannot be overstated. The Secretary of State literally compares your seal to the seal registered with their office. A partial impression, smearing, or obscure text makes verification impossible. Press deliberately. Third attempt if you have to, but make it clear. Fourth, your ink signature, matching your commissioned name. Fifth, the exact date. Sixth, certificate attachment. Your certificate should be physically attached to the document. If you use a loose certificate, reference the document clearly. These 6 requirements are what the Secretary of State is checking when they review your notarization before issuing the apostille. Get all 6 right and the process flows smoothly. Here is a complete, fully tagged Apostille-ready notarial certificate. Let's walk through each field and why it matters. Fields 1 and 2, state and county, must reflect your commission jurisdiction, not where the signer lives. If you are a Tennessee notary in Montgomery County, that is what goes here regardless of where the document originated. Field 3, the exact date of the notarial act. Field 4, the signer's full legal name, matching their government-issued ID letter for letter. Field 5, the ID type and number used for verification. Field 6, the signer's capacity. This is a field many notaries leave generic, for an individual signing for themselves, individually, or as an individual, for a corporate officer, as president of XYZ company. Capacity matters for international documents. Field 7 is your ink signature. Field 8 is your full legal name as commissioned, and this must match your commission record exactly. This is what the Secretary of State verifies. Field 9 confirms the state of your commission. Field 10, your commission number is specifically required by many Secretary of State offices processing apostilles, included every time on documents destined for apostille. Field 11, your county of commission. Field 12, your commission expiration date, confirming your authority was current at the time of notarization. And Field 13, your seal must be a clear, complete impression. Every single tag on this document is something the Secretary of State's office checks. Fill all 13 completely. Your scripts are your professional safety net. They keep you helpful, accurate, and clearly within your role as a notary. Let's break down why each one matters. Script 1 is for the most common scenario. A client asks if you can apostille their document. Many clients use the word apostille, the way they use notaries, as a general term for authentication. Your response correctly sets the expectation. You notarize, the Secretary of State apostilles. You stay in your role, the client understands the process, and you have asked the essential question about the destination country before doing any work. Script 2 handles the non-Hague country situation. This is where you must be honest, even if it's not what the client wants to hear. You cannot provide an apostille for a non-member country document, and attempting to notarize it as if you can would be misleading. Redirect them professionally. Script 3 is for vital records, birth, marriage, death certificates. This is where many notaries make mistakes. They agree to notarize a government-issued certificate as if that will produce an apostille. It won't. The apostille for vital records comes directly from the Secretary of State of the issuing state. Script 4 is your closing handoff. After you've completed the notarization, you give the client clear, actionable next steps. Notice that you give them the process, not a legal guarantee. You're helpful, you're professional, you're complete. Well, let's get specific to Tennessee, because knowing your state's exact process is what allows you to be genuinely helpful to clients, not just generally knowledgeable about apostilles. Here's what to know about Tennessee. The apostille process in Tennessee is actually quite straightforward compared to some states. Tennessee does not require a county clerk certification step between the notarization and the Secretary of State. You notarize the document. The client submits directly to the Tennessee Secretary of State's Authentications Division. The fee is currently $10 per document, but always verify this before advising clients because government fees are updated periodically. The SOS offers 2 submission methods, in person at their Nashville office for same-day processing, or by mail for 3 to 10 business days. In person is usually the best option for time-sensitive matters. When clients ask detailed questions about the submission process that go beyond your role, you can confidently direct them to the SOS office. One thing many beginners overlook: the fee and processing information on this slide reflects what is current at the time of this recording. Before you give any specific advice to a client about fees or timelines, verify directly with the SOS. A quick verification call takes 2 minutes and prevents you from giving outdated information. Let's talk about the errors that cause apostille applications to come back rejected. Because a rejection means the client loses days or weeks of time, has to come back to you, and may pay additional fees. The top 3 high-risk errors are the most common causes. Missing commission number. This is the single most frequent rejection reason. Every certificate on an apostille-bound document must include your commission number, period. Illegible seal. The SOS is literally matching your seal impression to their records. An ink smear, a partial impression, or any text that cannot be read will stop the process. Take the time to apply your seal correctly. Name mismatch. If your signature or printed name differs from your commission record, verification fails. Use your exact commission name every time, especially on apostille documents. Error 4. Wrong certificate type is a legal issue, not just an administrative one. Using the wrong act creates a defective notarization. Know your acts. Error 5. Missing county of commission is surprisingly common. Some notaries put their home address county or the location where the signing happened. The certificate must show the county where you are commissioned. Error 6. Expired commission is the most fundamental violation. Check your expiration before every single appointment. If your commission has lapsed, you cannot legally notarize, and any document you notarize during that lapse is invalid for any purpose, including apostille. These 6 errors are all preventable. The tagged document on the previous slide covers all of them. Here is your complete apostille readiness checklist, 18 items across 3 phases. Print this. Use it for every appointment where you know the document is apostille bound. The before phase catches the questions that should be answered before you pick up a pen. Is this a Hague country? Is this a document you can notarize? Or is it a government-issued record that goes directly to the SOS? Is the ID current? Is your commission current? Which act does this document require? Addressing these before the appointment starts prevents every major problem. The during phase is where the quality of your notarization is determined. The 6 items here are your execution checklist. Oath first for jurats, all 13 certificate fields complete, seal applied and verified, signature matching your commission. The after phase is where your professionalism shows. You review your own work before the document leaves your hands. A 1-minute self-review catches the errors that would otherwise cause rejection weeks later. You record the journal entry. You give the client clear next steps. What could happen if the checklist is skipped? On a rushed appointment, it's easy to complete the signature and seal and hand the document back without confirming the commission number is in the certificate. The client submits to the SOS, rejection, 2 weeks lost, return trip, more fees. The checklist prevents that. 18 items, 1 page, worth every minute, and that is the complete apostille process from beginning to end. Let me leave you with the 3 most important takeaways. First, your role in the apostille process is step 1, and it is the most critical step. Everything the Secretary of State does depends on the quality of your notarization. Get step 1 right every time. Second, the apostille comes from the Secretary of State, not from you. When clients ask you for an apostille, your job is to explain that clearly, perform an excellent notarization, and hand them off with confidence. Third, all 13 certificate fields, a legible seal, and your exact commission name are not optional extras. They are what allow the SOS to verify your work and issue the apostille. Miss any one of them, and the client's apostille is delayed. You now have the definition, the chain, the eligible document types, the 8-step process, a fully tagged sample certificate, 4 scripts for every situation you'll encounter, the Tennessee-specific process, the 6 rejection errors to avoid, and an 18-item checklist. That is a complete professional toolkit. Use it. If this video helped you, please like it and subscribe to Oath&Ink Academy for more education like this. Share it with a fellow notary who has ever had a client walk in asking about an apostille. I will see you in the next video.